What's up, PokerBEAST? Kato here, and today we're playing cards. I'm back at the lodge. This is session number 4. Last session was actually a few hours ago with Rosie and Frankie. They just left town, but I got a lot of the money that I lost in the live stream back. I had some dinner, and I'm back at it. Let's hit the film. Welcome back to the vlog. Today is an exciting episode. I'm doing an $800 buy-in at the 1-3 game. Everything's bigger in Texas. If you remember, I've played 3 sessions. I'm up 149. Hopefully I can work hard, play smart, and book another winning session. Don't forget, coming up next week on Tuesday the 22nd, there's going to be the Jamul Meetup game. There's going to be a lot of players, a lot of action. It's going to be a ton of fun. I'll see you there. Let's get to the felt. The first hand I see when I sit down on the table is quad aces from the player in the 7th seat. You know it's going to be a good session when big hands are being hit. The first hand I decided to play is 8-6 of spades from the hijack. The low jack has put in a $15 bet. I'm going to make the call. The small blind comes along, and the big blind doesn't want to miss out on the fun. 4-way action going to the flop, $60 in the pot. And the dealer puts out ace, 3, 9, 2 spades. Although my spades are pretty low, seeing the ace of spades on the board is great. It takes out so many suited spade hands that I have to assume that when it checks to me, I should be betting. I put $30 in the pot. The small blind says he wants to tango. The big blind makes the call as well. The low jack gets out of the way. We're going 3 ways to the turn, $150 in the pot. And it's the jack of spades. I hit my flush. It's with a spade that's higher than my 8. I want to get value from aces, charge equity for the draws. It checks to me again, and I bet 75. The big blind's the only person that wants to come along. He makes the call. We're going to the river heads up, and the dealer peels the ace of diamonds, pairing the board. This time, for the first time, the big blind decides he's going to lead out almost a full-size pot bet, 250. He's got me against the ropes. He's turned the table on me. I find myself losing a lot of money on the river when my opponent makes a pot size or larger bet, and I don't have the nuts. It's been a consistent trend in this vlog. I need to pay more attention to it at the felt, but when you're in this situation, you're so close to winning a big hand, a big pot, that you just want to call. This is the player that just hit the pocket aces. He's probably feeling pretty great. Did he hit another monster against me? I make the call. Let's see. He flips over an ace, and then there's a jack with it. He hit his full house on the river. Oh, so painful. I could have gotten a great bet out of him on the river. I ran into his heater, and right off the bat, I'm down to $426. I'm not topping off today. I'm already in deeper than I want to be. And after that first hand, it hurts. The next hand I look at is ace-6 of diamonds. I'm in the big blind, 426 on my stack. The button has limped into the pot. The small blind limps as well. I'm going to raise with my suited ace, make it 15, although I feel like a bull with spears in his side facing a matador after that last hand. The button makes the call. The small blind wants to stay in and gamble. He makes the call, $45 in the pot, 3-way action going to the flop. It comes 4 ace-8. I have a lot of playability on this flop, although I do think with my top pair, marginal kicker, this is a situation where I probably could check to my opponent. Pot control, 25 is a little more aggressive. The button tosses her cards away, and the small blind kicks his away. I'm scooping the pot, although it's very small. I need all the help I can get. I'm on the comeback charge. The very next hand, I pick up ace-4 of hearts. I'm in the small blind this time, 459 in my stack. The hijack has bought back in for $4. The under the gun player makes it 15. The cutoff makes the call. The button calls. I'm just going to make the call. Under the gun opens are always dangerous. I don't want to give him the chance to 3-bet. The big blind makes the call as well. We're headed to the flop. 5 ways, $79 in the pot. And the dealer puts out ace, queen, king. I've hit my top pair once again. This time my kicker's even worse. I do have a backdoor, but that's only about 4% extra equity. I decide on a check. The entire table decides on a check. We're going to the turn. It's the 5 of diamonds. This time, it checks around to the cutoff, who bets 20. The button says he wants a piece of it. He makes the call, and I think that no one has really shown that much interest in this hand. I'm blocking an ace. I think I can push out a lot of hands that are slightly better than mine. Charge draws, and maybe just take down the pot right here. I put $80 into the middle of the pot, seeing if anyone wants to come along and face my wrath on the river. It folds all the way around to the better on the turn. And she decides she doesn't want to play. She tosses her hand away. The button, he has a massive stack. Chip leader at the table with about 3,000. But he doesn't want to play this one. He's going to choose another battle. I'm scooping another even better sized pot than the previous one. Let's move on to the next hand. I pick up ace, jack of diamonds on the button. 563 in my stack. The middle position decides to open the action for $10. The hijack comes along, and the cutoff decides to make a 3-bet to 40. I just make the call. I haven't seen a 3-bet at this table yet. It could be a strong hand. It doesn't fade to the middle position and the cutoff, though, because they both make the call. We're headed 4 ways to the flop, $164 in the pot. And the dealer scrapes across the felt 6, queen, 5. I've completely whiffed. I'm glad I didn't 4-bet this pot. I wish those red cards were diamonds, but when the cutoff puts $100 in, my options are very clear. Folding is necessary. Hands are coming quick this session. The next hand I get is pocket jacks in the middle position, 523 in my stack. The undergun player's limp. The middle position player bumps it up to 15. And of course, I'm going to put in a 3-bet. I make it 50. The big blind has no problem making the call. The original better's not scared away. He makes the call as well. 153 in the pot, headed to the flop. And the dealer puts out 5 jack 4. I spike my top set, but it does come with dangers. 3 clubs on the board. All you can do in this situation is pray that the board pairs. Hopefully, it pairs that jack. When it checks to me, I'm going to bet. I'm going to make it big. I'm going to charge the players in. If someone already has a flush, so be it. We'll play for stacks against my jacks. I hope that the board pairs. We can run it as many times as you want. I bet 100. And I hold my breath. Brace for impact. The player across from me looks like he's going to muck, but then he puts his cards back down on the felt. And his fingers go for the chips. This gentleman cold $50 pre-flop. So I'm not sure exactly what he had, but it definitely could be suited. Definitely could be suited clubs. He just decides to make the call. Actions on the middle position player to my right. The $3,000 stack. He decides he's had enough. Too rich for his blood. He folds out of the way. We're going to the turn. Heads up. There's already $354 in the pot. I'm looking to pair the board. I'm looking to fade a club. And I'm hoping he doesn't have 2 in his whole cards. It's the ace of diamonds. This is great for me because if my opponent has the ace of clubs, now I can definitely get all of his money in the pot. I don't have to make that decision, though. He rips it all in. And now my entire stack is at risk. The logic for this hand came to me straight away. I thought that if he had a low flush, he would have raised on the flop for protection. If he had the nut flush, he would have checked to me on the turn, giving me an opportunity to continue betting. But if he had the ace of clubs and only the ace of clubs, this would be the perfect opportunity to rip it all in. It seems like the perfect card, and you're drawing towards the nuts. Little does he know I have a set. There's no way I'm going to fold this. I make the call. At this table, you can negotiate how many times you run it. He wanted to run it twice. I much prefer to run it once or 3 times. That way someone wins. I hate chopping the pots. We decided to run the river 3 times. And the first river is the 5 of hearts pairing the board, giving me the full house. I feel great until the 7 of clubs peels. 4 clubs, I can't be good on that board. But then the 4 of hearts pairs the board again. I have 2 full houses out of the 3. And my opponent does flip up ace king with the ace of clubs. My read was spot on. Jamming when the ace hit only made sense if he had the ace of clubs. I'm scooping 2/3 of this pot, bringing my stack to $733. Hands are coming quick. I don't have to wait long for another one. King Jack offsuit in the cutoff, 733 in my stack. I'm starting to have a love-hate relationship with this hand. I much prefer it to be suited. You can get into a lot of trouble against ace king, king queen. The hijack bets 15. I'm going to make the call with my position. The button makes the call. The small blind calls. The big blind is not going to miss out on the fun. He makes the call. We're headed 5 ways to the flop. $75 in the pot. The dealer burns a card, puts 3 on the table. 3-10-4. Not a good flop for me. I do have some backdoor draws and 2 overs. When it checks around to me, I get a little creative. I'm going for the money in the pot. I make it 40. The small blind doesn't take much time after the button folds to make the call. The big blind folds. The hijack follows suit. We're going heads up to the turn, 155 in the pot. The dealer does his ritual before presenting the next card. It's the 9 of spades. When it checks to me, I'm going to continue applying aggression. I picked up a gut shot straight draw. And I just don't think my opponent can have that strong of a hand on this board. He could be drawing, but his range is capped. I bet 115. I'm trying to apply max pressure, trying to push him out of this pot. It's close to a 3-4 size pot bet. He's taking his time. He's mulling over his options. He hasn't reached for chips. He hasn't reached for his cards. It seems like he's pretty well positioned to stay in this pot. And stay in this pot he does. He makes the call. 385 in the pot. I have my opponent covered. He's got about 300 behind. I'm pretty committed to jamming on him no matter what the river is. The river turns out to be the 7 of diamonds. I'm not sure why I would jam here. It's not necessarily a great bluff. I don't know exactly how to read this board. But I've gone this far. And I like to fire all 3 bullets. Unfortunately, I don't get that opportunity. My opponent takes the initiative away from me, goes all in with 1 single chip. I'm really frustrated because this all but confirms to me that he was drawing. In fact, he probably does have hearts. He probably missed completely. Realizes the only way to win the pot is to jam on me. I don't see what the 7 of diamonds would do for him. That he wouldn't put in a check raise on the turn, especially with the connected and suitedness of the board. But he has made a good play on me. I have absolutely nothing. King high. Of course, I have to posture a little bit, but I do make the fold. My opponent tells me later that he, in fact, did have a draw, did call on the turn with the intention of jamming on the river. I don't know if I believe him. You never can believe a poker player, but now I got 563 in my stack, and I'm ready to fight back to even and then more. I fold away a bunch of junk hands, and then I pick up pocket nines in middle position. There is a $10 under the gun straddle on the pot. I just call. I could open, but this table's pretty wild. I have terrible position. I just want to set mine and get out if I don't hit my 9. The button calls. The big blind calls, and then it's back to the under the gun straddler who bumps it up, announcing to the table that his hand is worth $40. Well, guess what? My pocket nines are worth $40 too. I make the call. The button comes along. 131 in the pot. 3-way action. And the flop comes out ace, jack, 8. Oh, that 8 was so close. That happens all the time. You see a card that looks like it, especially with the ace on the board. This was an opportunity to make a lot of money. Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. The under the gun player makes that exceptionally clear when he decides to bet 130 into the pot. And of course, I just have to toss my nines away. It was worth a shot. We have a beautiful fold montage coming up. Usually I ask for likes, and I extremely appreciate them. They really help the channel. I was going through some analytics, and only 7% of my subscribers have hit the notification bell. I'd love to get that up to 10%. If you want to help me out, you'll be benefited by seeing my videos right when they drop. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, after I go up and down just a little bit, not too much, the table breaks. It's the last 1-3 table. I can only buy for 300 at the 1-2 table, and so I pocket the rest of the money. And I start looking at hands, trying to get adjusted to these smaller stacks. I look down at 8-9. In the low jack, 3-11 in my stack. There is a straddle on the pot. The 2 middle position players have made the call. Action's on me, and I go to put in a small bet. Unfortunately, I crossed the line with $60. This line rule has gotten me a lot. If it crosses the line, it stays in the pot, and so already a large portion of my chips are committed. I do get one caller. The gentleman in the 5 seat, he's just racked up all of his chips, but he wants one more hand. We all know what that means. He's about to lose them all to me. You never play out of the rack. That's like rule number 1 of poker. I'm not joking. If you're new to poker, once you've racked those chips up, get the heck out of there. You're done. You're not going to double up on the last hand. You're probably going to lose all your money. The dealer burns and turns, puts out the flop, 2-9 jack. I fit my middle pair. It's a draw heavy board. My opponent quickly checks to me. $133 in the pot. I'm frustrated that I bet 60 with this marginal hand. I bet 100, trying to take it down right there, thinking I probably have the best hand. I know my opponent was headed out the door anyway. He probably doesn't want to play. Actually, he does. He makes the call. 4 greens from each of us. 333 in the pot. The dealer burns and turns the 4 of spades. Doesn't help me. But when my opponent quickly checks to me again, I have already committed half my stack. I'm going to commit the other half. 151 going into the pot. It's an all-in decision. Right after I've sat down at the table. I'm not feeling good about it. I have middle pair. I'm super frustrated at myself for crossing that betting line. I've been here for a few days. I should have it figured out by now. I need to work on these habits when I'm back at my casino. After taking a long time talking about how he should have just gotten up and left, not played this hand, he decides to throw in a chip. He does make the call. I'm hoping he's on a draw. I'm hoping that I have him beat. Chances are slim. The 3 of hearts is on the river. And now I have to go to showdown. I have to see if my hand's good. I flip it over. My opponent flips over queen, 9 of hearts. He had the 9 as well. He made a great call. I made a terrible play all the way around. I lost my $300. When the first game broke, I had $391 in my stack, so I cashed in the last $90. Texas has been a roller coaster. I'm not adjusting to the games like I'd like to. I'm down 7-10 on the session, 561 on the total trip. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, Kato out.